Hey, what's up? Just want to give a real quick disclaimer before we get started. I am not a professional. I am not an electrician. This is for informational purposes only. Please do this at your own risk. And if you need to, please hire an electrician to do this for you and have them professionally do this. It is not worth harming yourself or others. Please be careful. So this is going to be a very quick little video here. I always wait till the last minute to do everything. So we are getting a major winter storm here in North Texas. Everybody up in the Northeast always laughs, but Texas, North Texas, we're just not built infrastructure-wise for major storms. So I bought this guy 3 months ago, and I'm just now getting around to doing it 2 days, 48 hours before the storm hits. So this is going to be an easy generator plug installation. I've seen several videos out there. There's a lot of good videos on how to install it up against or into your breaker panel. The Easy Generator actually has a video explaining exactly how to do it. I'll link that below if you're interested in doing it that way. For me personally, my furnace is obviously in the attic, and I do not want to tie into my breaker box. It's going to be more work than what I'm going to be doing. There's a couple different ways you can do this, and I'll go through both ways. The first one is the UL listed. Well, it is UL listed, but the more professional way to do this and more of a transfer switch type of scenario. So I've already opened the box, but I'm gonna just show you quickly what's here in the box. So once you get it, these are about $80, $85, $90 on Amazon. It's your switch, your toggle switch. Basically the way this works is I'm gonna tie into the outlet, how the installation is gonna go for this. But once you'll have your generator outside, or if you have an electric generator inside, whatever you plan to do, it'll plug into your 110 outlet on your generator. An extension cord will then plug into the female side. Well, I guess the male side here, the female end of the extension cord will plug into this. And you have a manual, which is going to be your grid power, your off, and then your generator. So that way you don't ever have to worry about backfeeding onto the grid and hurting a lineman, because it's the last thing we want, or we don't want anything to happen to you, or your house catch on fire, anything like that. There's a billion videos out there on how to backfeed into your panel from your generator, safe ways and unsafe ways. Everybody has their own thing, so I'll let you do with that what you will. But today we're going to be talking about how to install this. In the box, you get this guy, and you're going to get your wire nuts here and a couple other little things. I'll go through that in just a moment. So let's head up to the attic and see what we got going, and I will walk you through how to do this. Also, I do apologize before we get into this. The clutter here, usually I have a table and it's a little bit more set up, but last minute, garage is a mess. I'm sure garage is a mess too. Don't judge me. If you have a good garage, I'm jealous because I don't have one of those yet. Okay, before we get too deep into this, let's go and talk about a few things that we're actually going to need to do this project. Some of these I found out later in the project. That's why I didn't have them at the very beginning. So first and foremost, you're going to need your Easy Generator switch. They do sell these on Amazon. However, at the time of recording this, they are out of stock, likely due to the winter storms that are coming. So I will post both the Amazon link as well as the direct link to the website, whichever you feel most comfortable purchasing from. Next, you're going to need a additional junction box. If you plan to put multiple strands of Romex into the same box, it would probably be beneficial either way, just for sake of all the wires being in the same box, to have a different or a second junction box. You'll need a plate to cover it after you're finished, and you'll also need some 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch bushings to protect the cable that is going into the box, because sometimes those edges can be sharp and we don't want you to have punctured wire from those sharp edges. One quick concept I wanted to briefly touch on is the differences in a bonded versus a floating neutral on your generator. The reason that I've put a screenshot of this thumbnail up here is this gentleman does a very good job at explaining the differences between the two. I will link his video below for you to get some more detailed information on this. Each generator may be different, so I would refer to your user manual before proceeding. If you have a bonded generator, it's very important that you see the other link in the video description below, going back to Easy Generator Switch video that will cover how to set up your switch to be able to be used on your house with a bonded generator. At a high level, anything connected to your house's main panel is going to be bonded. So if you're using a bonded generator and have a double bond, you're going to probably run into some issues and it can be very unsafe. For me, I'm using a Win 3600 generator, which is a floating neutral. So I have a floating neutral generator going to a switch that is bonded. So I'm set up in a very clean and concise way, and there's no altering that I need to do to my switch. However, again, if you have a bonded generator and you're going to be using this on your house that is bonded, then you need to do some changes to your switch. Okay, before we get started doing anything, you should always turn the breaker off. This is heat unit 1, number 8. My light's on up there, so let's flip it. Heat unit number 8, 20 amp, boom. So as I mentioned, mine's a little bit different here. What happens is my breaker comes up into my attic into a switch. The toggle switch is what actually turns my furnace or AC unit on and off manually, as well as controls my light in the attic. So what we're doing here, it's a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to kind of walk through this. First thing that you need to do is go ahead and take off your switch to expose all those wires. Once they're all exposed, get your switch pulled off, get all the wires out, and go ahead and remove that box that holds the switch in place so all your wires are ready to start terminating. Before we go any further, I just wanted to stop and say that if you're going to be terminating in a couple different cables of Romex like I am, because again, I have one piece of Romex that goes all the way up and through to the furnace, and then I have another piece of Romex coming out of that same tie-in from that switch that goes over to my light. So when I bundled all these together, it would not fit in the junction box that came with the actual switch. So the reason I'm showing this picture is just showing that there's too many cables and you cannot safely put the plate back on. So I wanted to show this just to note that you're going to need 2 junction boxes, the one that comes with it, and plus 1 additional box to store all your cables in. So I went ahead and I put this above it so that my Romex cables can all be stored in this box. I've got my ground going in here from the switch. I ran all my cables down in there, and now let's start terminating. So while I'm getting myself figured out here in the video, I'm just going to do a voiceover to kind of talk through this because I had so many issues getting this to record properly with all the issues that I had. So let's go ahead and talk about the 4 pieces of cable that are coming off the switch. The 2 white cables are labeled line neutral, and the other one is line load. You have a red cable, that is your hot cable, and you have a black cable, that is your load cable. So what I'm doing in this piece, I'm actually doing in the line neutral. The line neutral is the white cable that goes down into the breaker panel to connect to the neutral bus bar. The other cable that I'm doing here is the black and the red cable. This is going to be your hot cable, black, that goes down into the actual breaker itself. This is going to connect directly to the hot cable on your switch, which is your red cable. Okay, lines are done. Our 2 hots are done. You've got your load wires. You've got your neutral load wire. And then lastly, we have our grounds. Okay, just to verify once more, we have our neutral loads, which go up to our neutral load, which again is your device that you're powering. You've got your line, your neutral line, which goes down to your breaker, goes to your neutral line, going to your switch. You have your load wires, your black load wires comes out of the switch, and your 2 that are going up to your devices. and then you have your hot wire going down to your breaker, and you have your hot wire going to your red hot wire that's going to your switch. One thing I forgot to point out earlier, if you have these, I would highly recommend that you pick these up. These are 1/2 inch little sleeves. I don't have the bag with me, but they're 1/2 inch little sleeves that will prevent your cables from rubbing on the metal. Put one at the top and put one at the bottom. All right, we are all set. Everything's working. I turned the heat on just to make sure, but just to show you, as you're probably not gonna be able to hear the heat, right now it's on normal, because normal is the grid, okay? And now if I turn this to off, my light's gonna turn off. So now my switch is on, but my light is off, because we've basically killed all power, just like it was before with this toggle switch in place. Off was nothing would work, on everything would work. Now, for our generator, all we have to do is flip it to generator, plug our generator in with the extension cord, run it outside to my generator or inside, you know, however you have it set up, and we're all set. Okay, I can hear the blower kicking on. Might be kind of hard to tell. I don't have my mic on, so hopefully you can hear it. There she goes. Pilot's on. Blower's on. Should have some heat. It's on generator. And just for good measure, I did turn the breaker off. You don't have to. In this case, that is bypassing the grid completely. But just to be sure, I went out ahead and turned the breaker off just to prevent any potential backfeed issues, because it's not worth it. It's not worth hurting anybody. But again, you're welcome to leave it that way, but I would highly recommend turning the breaker off just as an extra precaution, just to protect those linemen out there.